Welcome to Marketplace Live. Let's defy gravity.
Okay. Hi everyone, this is a panel discussion on data gravity in Tokyo. I am Bampo Tezuka, the moderator of this session and CEO of MC Digital Reality. To elaborate on today's theme, according to Data Gravity Index recently published by Digital Reality, data gravity is defined as the intensity and gravitational force of enterprise global data growth, and the index score as measured in gigabytes per second provides a relative proxy for measuring data creation, aggregation, and processing. The formula of data gravity index score consists of 4 factors: 1, data mass; 2, data activity; 3, bandwidth; and number 4, latency. Today, we are very pleased to have 4 distinguished panelists from different sectors relevant to these factors. And through our panel discussion, we hope to share some insights with regard to the data gravity trend in Tokyo. Now, please allow me to introduce today's panelists. First, my colleague, Chris Han from MC Digital Reality, a data center provider relevant to data mass. Chris?
Hey, Bampo. So just a brief introduction. MC Digital Realty is a 50-50 joint venture between Digital Realty and Mitsubishi Corporation. Very much 100% focused on the Japan market here. Currently, we manage 2 data centers in the Tokyo area and 2 in Osaka with a total of 54 megawatts IT load under management. And currently, we're in development of 2 new facilities, one in the Inzai area near Tokyo, and another adjacent to our existing campus in Osaka. Both facilities are on target to be completed next year. So in the future, we intend to continue to explore opportunities for growth in Japan, given the high volume of data use and data gravity in the market. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Next, we have Charlie Fukuchi from BBIX, a leading IX provider relevant to data activity. Fukuchi-san, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Mitsukazu Fukuchi. I'm in charge of the CEO of the BBIX. The BBIX is a subsidiary of 100% SoftBank. We have 2 locations in Osaka and Tokyo. We're providing internet exchange, and also Singapore, Hong Kong, and other cities. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Yasutoshi Kikuchi from Arteria Networks, a leading carrier relevant to local bandwidth and latency. Please.
Thank you, Tezuka-san. Thank you for joining today's session, or the attendee. So I am Yasutoshi Kikuchi, the Chief Technology Officer of Arteria Networks. I think only a few people know about the Arteria Networks, so let me briefly introduce ourselves at first. Originally, back to 1997, one of our original company named Global Access Limited is established to provide a backhaul service from the subsea cable landing station to city area like Tokyo and Osaka. And after that, we acquired Vectant, which is an ISP, and also Yukon, and which is an FTTH and a condominium ISP provider. So many people say here in Japan, only 3 carriers like NTT, KDDI, and SoftBank. But we, Arteria, also provide a telecommunications service here in Japan. And our strong point is, as I mentioned, we have our own nationwide fiber network. So many OTT and service providers are using our services. That's the basic introduction of our company. Thank you, Tezuka-san.
Thank you, Kikuchi-san. Last, we have Shota Masuda-san from RTI, a subsea cable provider, also relevant to inbound, outbound bandwidth and latency. Masuda-san, please.
Hello. Thank you for inviting me to as one of the panelists today. My name is Shota Masuda. I'm Chief Strategy Officer at RTI Cables. RTI is an independent and neutral subsea cable provider, having networks from Japan to Australia through Guam and connections to Los Angeles from Guam as well. We are currently building another cable to Hong Kong, and we have future plans to expand to Singapore as well. I look forward to joining this panel discussion. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you all for your introductions. Now, as a first discussion topic, we would like to focus on data gravity in Tokyo. According to the Data Gravity Index, Tokyo is currently the second highest ranked metro globally. I would like to ask your views on data gravity and its effects in the Tokyo metro area. First, Masuda-san, may I ask you to provide your views as a subsea cable provider?
Yes, of course. Okay, so this is the RTI network map, which you see on your screen right now. We have formed a network centralizing on the Guam as one of our hubs, and we are connecting 3 continents, 4 countries, with 7 landing points. One is Japan, of course, and we are looking at Sydney and maybe Brisbane in Australia, and Los Angeles and Honolulu on the US side, trying to extend to Hong Kong and maybe even into Singapore. We think that the subsea network is very important in order to connect data centers. So we're talking about data gravity in Tokyo here, but I think there are other data gravity centers all around the world. And nowadays, I think it is essential that data centers get connected. And the only way to connect data centers is through subsea cable. If you look at the history of communication, it started from telegrams, and telegrams were usually point-to-point, and then we went into voice and then into data, and everybody was talking about how to reach the homes when we were talking about voice, because telephones were in the house or the offices. But now, almost all the data is situated in data centers. So when we plan subsea cables, our main focus would be not where the actual homes or offices are, but where the data centers close to those metropolitans are. If you could go to the next slide. Also, I'd like to draw your attention on the need for capacity. So when we look at the capacity needs, there are up and downs, but we need more capacity. I think the CAGR is about 49% annually, and data demand keeps on growing and growing and growing. If you look at the dark blue lines here, this is the existing subsea cables capacity that can go through the existing cables. And if you look at the light blue lines, this is the amount of capacity that will be required going forward up to 2035. So the responsibility of cable providers such as RTI would be to keep on building cables in order to cope with all this demand. And Tokyo, being the second largest, according to the data that was provided by Digital Realty, I think is definitely somewhere that we will need to keep on working on and in order to increase the capacity into Tokyo. That's about it.
I see. Thank you. Very interesting. Thank you, Masuda-san. Now, Kikuchi-san, may I ask on your thoughts from a local carrier perspective?
Okay, sure. Thank you, Tezuka-san. Could you go to the next slide? So as Masuda-san over RTI mentioned right now, the data volume is dramatically increasing. This chart shows the case of ourselves. So the left-hand side, 2017, 3 years ago, the total capacity between subsea cable landing station to Tokyo is about 4 terabps. And the portfolio means 10 gig and 100 gig. The percentage is only 2% of the total. 2% is 100 gig interface, and 98% is a 10 gig interface. But currently, only 3 years ago, the total capacity is almost about 2.5 larger than that of 3 years ago. And the portfolio is completely changed. 100 gig interface is 84%, and the 16 of them is 10 gig. And actually, we also asked by our customer to provide a 400 gig interface and also a dark fiber to control the higher demand of the traffic. And we carrier need to prepare for this kind of capacity increasing to strengthen our network capability, number of fiber or whatever. That is the situation. Thank you, Tezuka-san.
I see. Thank you, Kikuchi-san. Now, may I ask Fukuchi-san to
Yes.
provide you from IX?
Yep. Thank you very much, Tezuka-san. So I just explain about the Tokyo situation. So this chart shows the IXP ranking. So as you see, Singapore, Technique Singapore is number one. No. Next, please. So I made the city ranking by IXP capacity. So you can see Tokyo is ranked number one in APAC, and growth ratio in APAC cities are significant, like Tokyo, Singapore, and Hong Kong, something. And especially Osaka marked 400% in capacity growth. So that I can say that Japan is most important country in APAC for internet industry. Next, please. So this is the capacity growth ratio. Of course, BBIX Tokyo is number one. But what I want to say that 3 IXP in Japan, JPNAP, JPX, and BBIX, they are competing. I want to say that good competition brings good market. And next, please. And this is the number of the connected AS network number in IXP in Tokyo. Of course, BBIX Tokyo is number one. And also, I checked each participant list. Next page, please. I would like to know which country they are coming from to Tokyo and what kind of service are they doing. So you can see that recently many Chinese content cloud players are connecting Tokyo, and South Korea and both of carrier and content connecting BBIX Tokyo, and major Asian carrier already connected. And surprisingly, the Russian 3 major carrier already connected, and the European cloud and content player already connected. So this is the next page, please. What I want to say, data gravity into Tokyo. That's all.
Thank you. Very, very interesting. Next, Chris, your views from a data center player perspective.
Thanks. I thought Fukuchi-san's points are really interesting about the internet growth and how Tokyo is so central to that in the Asia region. I think that's really a good point. I think Bampo-san, I think you mentioned before that Tokyo is number 2 globally, but I think also very clearly Tokyo is really the leading kind of market right now for connectivity and data storage. I think in Asia, and so I think really positioned as kind of this kind of leading the charge from an Asia perspective. From a data center operator's perspective, it should be no surprise then that Tokyo has the largest data center storage space supply in Asia, and it's projected to continue to be so for the immediate future. I think that the data traffic, I think mentioned by the other panelists, I think continues to drive these massive data center requirements. But I think what we've seen in recent years is that the demand, supply in Tokyo has not been able to keep up with the demand. In particular in central Tokyo, I think, which has been a very traditional data center hub, space is obviously very limited. The land is famously expensive in central Tokyo. And so in terms of having physical real estate, to have people, places where people can, place a data center storage space, I think has continued to be an ongoing challenge. And so I think I think part of that's driving, again, as Fukuchi-san mentioned, the growth in Osaka. I think as an alternative market in Japan, and then Osaka really emerging also as a on a global and a pan APAC level as really a tier 1 market. So certainly we focused a lot on Osaka as well as Tokyo in terms of our growth plan here. And so I think those are some of the things that we've seen from a data gravity perspective here in Japan to date.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Okay. Let's move on to the next discussion topic. I'd like to focus on data gravity with respect to the Inzai area. Inzai is in Chiba Prefecture, located near Narita Airport and around 40 kilometers from central Tokyo. As you know, there are significant data centers now under construction or to be built in the coming years by data center players and hyperscalers. First, Chris, would you share your views on Inzai?
Thanks. So I think, as I just mentioned, I think central Tokyo is one of the most connected areas in the world. And so I think the real challenge is there has been, where do you go from here? And so for Inzai, I think kind of on the east side and the suburbs, has really kind of emerged as this kind of secondary location for data in the Tokyo market. You can't really expand anymore for some of the reasons I described in central Tokyo. And so now you see some of the data moving out to Inzai. In fact, I think from what the market data we have, I think most of the major data center builds that you see in the Tokyo area for the next 3 to 5 years are all in the Inzai region. So we project massive data growth there. This also kind of enables operators like ourselves to this additional land space enables us to create these data center campuses and to create kind of a larger ecosystem there of customers, and also be able to serve the future expansion needs of those same customers. And then I think kind of tying back to the data gravity point of it, whereas previously you might see the data centers kind of chasing the connectivity, now when you have a lot of data going to a certain place, now like what Inzai is projected to be in the next few years, then we can see the connectivity, we can see the connections following that. At least that's kind of our theory from a data center provider perspective. So very, very interested to hear the opinions of the other panelists on this point.
Thank you, Chris. Maybe then may I pass on to Fukuchi-san for your views?
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Chris-san already mentioned about this mostly. So what I want to say that BBIX has already started IX service in 2 POPs in Inzai. And the 2 POPs are connected the Tokyo Metro Tokyo IX point. Then so many internet players are coming to Inzai, and also they are bringing many content players, the hyperscale player. Yeah. Next page, please. So this is a network strategy of BBIX. The BBIX to play the role of the hub connectivity. Once customer connect BBIX fabric, they can enjoy to connect every type of service of the mobile, internet, data center, and cloud. And also, of course, the private network like Smart VPN of SoftBank. Yeah. Next page, please. So I want to say the one thing, Inzai will become one of the most popular places for the data center construction by enterprise, including the IoT business providers. Yeah, that's all. Next page. So sorry. And also INZAI is connecting directly to cable landing station. BBIX have popped in Maruyama cable landing station of SoftBank. Yeah, it is very easy to connect the other server farm located in Hong Kong, Singapore, USA, and others. Next page, please. And also, if in the area hosts many server farms and content, the highly possible to carry the data from INZAI to the northern area in Japan when Tokyo hits massive earthquake in the future. The BBIX is going to launch its new POP in Sendai, December 2020. So INZAI area would play the important role in the disaster resilience DC operation. Yeah. Okay, that's it. Sorry.
Interesting. Yeah. Thank you, Fukuchi-san. Next up, Kikuchi-san.
Okay, thank you. So next slide, please. So as Chris and Fukuchi-san mentioned earlier, there's a lot of data centers in the area. And geographical viewpoint, there's a very huge strong point in the area. Means INZAI is located in between Tokyo and the subsea cable landing station, as Fukuchi-san mentioned earlier. To support this higher demand here in INZAI, we carrier need to prepare for the capacity expansion in this area. So we, Arteria, has a complete two plans. One is to increase the number of fiber or capacity between Tokyo to INZAI, and also INZAI to subsea cable. That is one important point. The other one is intra-INZAI network, because there is a lot of data centers in INZAI area, so it requires to connect each data center's capacity to other data centers. So I see intra-INZAI capacity is a huge demand. We need to prepare for this demand. And in addition to that, as you can see in this picture, subsea cable to subsea cable transit can be done using the INZAI area. That is the other most important perspective. I think Masuda-san of RTI may add some comment of my discussion point. Thank you.
Thank you, Kikuchi-san. Masuda-san, any comments, thoughts from your side?
Yes, most of my points have been already spoken, but I will try to tell something else. So when we look at subsea networks from Asia all the way to the United States, if we follow the Great Circle, the shortest route, that's in terms of latency, is actually going through Japan. Our RTI network goes through Guam, but actually that is not the shortest route, but it provides an alternative route. But the shortest route is always through Japan. And I think what Kikuchi-san said right now is a really valid point. All the traffic from Southeast Asia that is going to the United States would actually want to go through or go close by Japan. And landing the cable in Chiba Prefecture and Ibaraki Prefecture, which are the 2 points on this map right now, and for INZAI to provide, this cross-connect point. I think it is a very good location. Until now, all the subsea capacity that landed in Japan would have to go to Tokyo, Metro Tokyo first, and then it would be cross-connected back to the other subsea cables. But if we have a data exchange point in INZAI, which is just between the landing stations and not bothering going into Metro Tokyo, I think that is a very good location for this to happen. Also, when we look at the data itself in Tokyo, until now, all the data which was consumed in Tokyo, it would be more convenient to be located in central Tokyo. But with all this terrestrial networks evolving or expanding and upgrading, it doesn't really have to be in the central Tokyo area. And I think locating a data farm in Inzai at this magnitude adds great value for the people living in Tokyo area as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Masuda-san. Any other comments? Anybody? Maybe if not, thank you all for your comments from different perspectives. Based on your responses, I think we can agree that Tokyo for the Inzai is a very promising market with significant growth in the coming years. And I think hopefully today's discussions were helpful for our audience to understand what we're seeing here on the ground in Japan. So yeah, thank you for all of your comments. Now, given our time, we will have to conclude this panel discussion. Thank you to all participants today and all the audience who participated online. Thank you very much.